Welcome to Between the Before and After, a podcast about the stories that shape us. I'm your host, Coach John McLernan, and each episode I bring you an inspiring guest with a moving story that shines a light on the power of the human spirit. Before we dive in, I want to let you know about two very important things. Number one, the stories shared here are often gritty, raw, and vulnerable, and very likely will include speaking about sensitive topics suited for a mature audience. Number two, this podcast is also broadcast live on YouTube, Twitch, Twitter, LinkedIn, and Facebook. So on whatever platform you follow myself or Freedom Nutrition Coaching, you have the opportunity to participate in this discussion. You can comment on the live stream, and we encourage your participation both by commenting and asking questions. And so this podcast is about exploring the stories that take place between the before and after photos, not just in the realm of weight loss, but in all areas of life. So let's dive in. All right, we are live with Sheri Diamond, all the way from sunny California, if I have that right.
That's right. Hi, John. Happy New Year.
Yeah, Happy New Year to you. It's awesome to be here, and I bet you're warmer than we are.
Yeah.
We've currently been mired in a cold spell that would be in Celsius. We're averaging highs of about minus 25 Celsius and lows of about minus 35 to minus 40, which is getting between minus 20 and minus 40 Fahrenheit. So super warm.
Oh my gosh. Well, I am a spoiled Californian because I've lived here for so many years that in the morning when I wake up, it's 37 and I'm so mad because eventually it will snow. I mean, it will. And then I'm going to be really mad because that's the reason I moved away from Ohio.
Okay, yeah, you left the winter behind. And so I should give people just a little bit of backstory to you. You are a health and wellness coach in Los Angeles. You also have 30 years experience in sales and marketing of luxury, retail, and medical. And it was at age 64 that you found out you were pre-diabetic, and that scared the daylights out of you.
Correct.
Yeah. And so you then dove into research and started applying personal experience, and over the course of, I think, was it 18 months or so? I'm not sure what the time frame was, but you lost 103 pounds. And you've now kept that off for over 3 years, which is...
Now we're on 4.
4. There we go. Yeah, I think when you sent that to me, it would have been 3. Now we're on 4. That's absolutely phenomenal. What I love most about this is the fact that you did this in your mid-60s at a time when a lot of people think that it might be too late or that their opportunity has passed and so on. And so this is why I think I really wanted to share your story, is because I don't think there comes a time where it's too late to make some kind of positive change in your life. So, but maybe we'd kick off with this question here, and that is, how did you get to be 103 pounds overweight? Was it something that happened early in life, or was it something that happened sort of accumulated over time?
Well, that's a really interesting question, because that is the key, really one of the keys, besides the food that you eat, to being able to break through and finally lose weight. Because as I'll give you a really brief synopsis to kind of paint the picture.
Yeah.
But when I was a kid, I was like a chubby kid, but a chubby little baby, so cute, right? And then I got older, and as like around 9, 10, 11, when I'm going to be in that pre-pubescent stage, that's when things start changing, and I started getting chubby, and not like just because I'm going to be a teenager.
Right. Yeah.
Right. And so it's that kind of thing. But it's also, I found out as I got older that it's not only that, but it's how you're socialized as children with food and the stories you hear about food. And that's how it started for me, because the stories I heard when our family was together was, oh, we're celebrating, we could eat whatever we want. But when we were home alone with our family, sometimes my mom and my grandma would say, yeah, you shouldn't be eating that cookie because you're getting a little too fat. And people used to say the word fat to me. And then when I was like between 10 and 12, I got bullied for being fat. And kids used to follow me home from school yelling, fatty, fatty, 2x4, can't get through the bathroom door. And now I laugh about it because I have no emotion about it. But before, it used to kill me. And it really is the one thing that I had to do in my life so that I could be, we hear people say about being your authentic self. And that was the thing that got me to do it. I've always been my authentic self, but this took it to another level.
Yeah. And I'm thinking this is interesting because you would have been born in the 1950s, if I have that right.
I was born, I'll tell you what year I was born because I'm not ashamed. I was born in 1953, and
Okay.
in October of 2021, I turned 68, and I can't wait to see what it's going to be like to be 70 because I think it's going to be freaking amazing.
Yeah, and it's awesome to hear you speak with passion and energy at this age. And I keep highlighting your age, and I sound surprised, partly because how we're accustomed to think about being older and aging, and I'm inclined to think that, and you can correct me, but I imagine you probably feel younger now than you would have 10 years ago.
So here's what I'm going to say: in my body, I feel younger, but in my brain, I know I'm older. How does that sound?
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah.
And what I mean is, I always used to look at myself like secretly by myself. And by the way, the reason I can have this conversation with you is because I did the work and
Yeah.
I know what I left behind. And there isn't anything I can't talk about with people. That's why I love what I do with my Balance for Life course, because
Yeah.
if you're ready, I've been through it all. I can tell you exactly what's going to happen and how it went down because I lived it. And when
Yeah.
you live in it, when you live in it for so long, like I did, and then you break through and you do something about it, the beautiful thing is that now you just sit in it and you
Yeah.
live it. And I don't even think about, oh my God, am I going to eat this? Am I going to gain weight tomorrow? No, because I know exactly what I'm doing. I know how to manage everything. Nothing is off limits in my life. I can do anything. It's because every restaurant in the world has fish, meat, and something that you can eat, and vegetables.
Yeah. So you spent a lot of your life in the world of sales and marketing, if I understand right. A lot of your
Correct.
professional life. In the time that you were doing that, did that involve a lot of socializing and a lot of human connection around like restaurant meals and drinks and things like that?
So human connection, that's a big staple in my life. Like I am a person, like right now, you're one of very few people in the last few weeks I've even talked to where I didn't have to wear a mask.
Okay. Yeah.
Okay. And for me, I'm a very social person. Since the day I came out of my mother's womb, it's like, let's go and let's have fun and let's go do this. And why are we staying home? Like, that's me. And let's have fun and let's talk to people. I'm a big advocate of people talking and communicating because it's a better way for people to understand where you're coming from.
Absolutely. Yeah.
And we don't do that now. Right. So when I was young, I did. And now that when I got older and I had an opportunity to be in sales. One of the reasons I loved it is because I got to do my favorite thing in life, talk
Talk. Yeah.
and socialize. You get to do
Yeah.
both. Oh, yeah. But I ate more bad food than you even want to know about.
Right. Because I mean, I'm picturing, and were you in your 30s when you went into this, or what age were you when you got into this sort of the sales marketing thing?
When I got into well, I started when I was like in my mid to late 30s, but I
Hmm.
really went full bore when I was like in my 40s because I got a job with a with a wonderful company where I really learned the threads of sales and marketing. They were called LA Cellular, and so for people
Okay.
that live in LA 100 years, they know what I'm talking about,
Yeah.
or people that I worked with. And then it went on to be Singular Wireless and AT&T and la la la. But I worked with them when when there was only two cellular companies in LA,
Okay.
right? And when I got into sales and I found out that, oh my gosh, you can go out and socialize, be nice to people. If they like you and trust you, they'll do business with you.
Right. Yeah.
And what do I get to do for 8 hours a day? Talk to people.
Yeah.
It was like perfect for me.
So, thinking about, you have such a vast array of life experience.
Right.
What you've seen a lot of change take place over the course of your life.
Right.
What stands out most dramatically for you?
Is right now I'm going to say that wow, how do I even describe it? It's so many things, but I'll try to give you the Reader's Digest version, really. Is that
Yeah.
I'm glad now where people are complaining about getting older. I'm really glad I'm this age, and that the only thing I can look back on is how life has changed around me out of my control. Like the atmosphere, the world, our country, whatever it is, has changed since I was a kid.
Yeah.
So I'm glad that I get to look at that and go, well, at least I had an opportunity to live when it was a little bit more peaceful and people were just more normal. Because
Yeah.
it doesn't matter what you believe about anything politically. That's the thing people don't understand. It's how you're socialized as a kid, what you think in your head as an adult, and what you're going to do along the way in life and helping other people. That's how your life's going to turn out.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. And human beings are social. We need human connection to really thrive and develop. And I think unfortunately, with the circumstances we're in, we've lost a lot of that. Whether not really by choice, but I think it's had a really significant and dramatic effect on a lot of people, both their physical health as well as their emotional and mental health. So,
Uh,
go
can
ahead.
I
Yeah.
just, yeah, I just want to add on to that. You're absolutely right. But let me flip it over for you and tell you why it can really be used for the better more than anybody knows. Here's why. What are people doing? Just say the last 2 years during lockdown, even now. I don't know, in some places people are not going out. A lot of restaurants are not doing well because people are afraid because of Omicron, whatever's going on in your town or your city or your country for that matter, right? And so what's happening is everybody's on social media and TikTok and they're following all these celebrities and buying stuff and they're promoting when these people could be talking to me and you and we could be helping them, which they are. I mean, by the way, it's like we have clients, don't get me wrong.
Yes.
I know
Yeah.
you're right. But
Yes.
what I'm saying is they should be beating down our door because we have time to help them get healthy. And this would be a great time to do it when you don't have all this other nonsense around you. And what are they doing? They're
Yeah.
listening to the noise. So
Yeah.
how do you compete with the noise?
Well, I often say that I feel like our competition is not like each other. For example, I don't think it's
It's not.
fellow coaches because there's so many people who need help. Our competition is like social media. It is Netflix. It is junk food. It is alcohol. It is drugs. It is video games. All of these types of, especially now, we experience or are exposed to what I would call super stimuli, things that are so stimulating for our brain.
Bravo, bravo for you saying my favorite word. We're all overstimulated.
Yeah, these are things that we've never really found within nature, never a part of our human existence, and so they stimulate our brain at a level that is completely unnatural. And the unfortunate byproduct of that is, if your normal is to be, say, super stimulated or hyper stimulated, let's say we're playing a super realistic video game, if that becomes your normal, then ordinary life becomes depressing, and that becomes a real problem because let's say to adopt a healthy lifestyle is actually to probably step back from some of the most stimulating things that we might encounter.
Right.
And so that's why I think our bigger challenge here is helping people really step back from almost like an addiction to this level of brain stimulation. I meet a lot of people who are extremely stressed, and it's like that can become almost an addiction as well. That becomes, this is how my brain is comfortable and normal, and the only way that I can function is to be jacked up on stress.
You're absolutely right. But see, if you peel that onion back one more layer and you add in fear and change,
Yeah,
those two things, I say this all the time. In fact, one of the weeks that I teach of my course is personalized for everybody, depending on
for
what
sure.
you need. But there are 2 weeks that I teach the same thing to everybody. And one of them, I'm just going to tell you right now on this
Yeah,
podcast because it's very important. I teach a week where I tell people we're going to talk about one of the reasons why up until now or other things in your life, whatever it is, it doesn't matter if you want to lose weight, get a divorce, buy a new car, find the best job, or whatever it is, or go to the gym. It doesn't matter, right? the thing is that we have to ask ourselves, what are we willing to do? What are we willing to do to get it? Because everybody wants it. But then when you tell them what they have to do, they're like, oh, right. We have to actually take action. And the fear comes from not knowing. And a lot of times the fear is because somebody else told me, well, my best friend said, okay, but look at your best friend. Does your best friend want what's good for you? Or does she want to keep you from moving forward in your life? Because listen, when I look back, there were a lot of people like that in my life. And some of them were in my own family, and I didn't know about it until I did the work.
Absolutely. So,
and I'm not mad at anybody. I just want to say that.
Yeah, of course.
Anybody.
And I think one of the challenges is when we become aware of this, we become aware of the influence that people have had in their lives. We become aware of so many other factors that we want to be able to talk about it in a way that doesn't necessarily make the other person or the individuals who maybe have influenced us in somewhat of a negative way, not to feel guilty about that, because I say we're all doing the best we can with what we have. We can look back at, say, our parents and how they were raised and the generations that they struggled with and so on. And it's like they did the best they could with the tools that they were handed. And so we're trying to do the best we can with the tools that we've been handed. And one of those tools is awareness. And we become aware of like how our lives are influenced by the people that come into it. And one of the things that I think, as you've been highlighting here, that really can hold people back is this fear that, like, if I create change, who's still going to be my friend?
Bingo.
And human beings love being social. So I'd like to switch back to your story a little bit here and say, well, so most of your life you struggled with your weight. You said you were maybe a chubby kid, chubby teenager, picked on, that kind of thing. At what point did you reach your highest weight, and how much was that?
So I would say that in my 50s is when that really happened, because before that I was doing well. But in 2006, and this is not, I'm not blaming it, but when I look at the time that it happened, it did play a big part in it. Is in 2006, my mom passed away, and I was like, I think 52 or 53. I don't know. I'm not good at math.
Yeah.
And anyway, when she passed away, I was so strong. And, everybody was like, wow, we thought you were going to fall apart once you came back home and you were, you don't call her every day. And I'm like, no, because my mom wants me to be strong. And 6 months into being strong, I had a meltdown and I started acting like a rock star on a tour bus. And I started going out and eating and drinking like, let's go, because I'm going to have some fun, because life's too short. And really all I was doing, I was eating and drinking and stuffing my sadness and my grief.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
And then, relationship issues happen, like things like that. And so here we go. And now I'm not saying that it was anybody's fault. I'm the one that put myself there, but I know exactly what I was doing. And what I was doing is, that's when I realized in 2009 that before I even was pre-diabetic, I realized that right now the universe was giving me a sign that if I don't make a change in my life right now, this is how my life's going to be. And this isn't working for me. So why do all these things that I don't want in my life surrounding me? And it had nothing to do with food at the time. Right?
Yeah.
And as soon as I broke through that and start doing the work and really looking at myself and stop blaming everything else around me, and I had to have this in the mirror with me. And I will say, and go to therapy, which everybody should do in their life.
100%. Yeah.
That's what did it for me. But see, there was a sign, and I knew it was a sign, and I took it. And then the next sign was when the doctor told me I was pre-diabetic. And then I said, all bets are off, and that's not happening. And those were the two shifts in my life, besides other things. Those were the two big shifts in my life that got me here.
Yeah. And so at 64, you were still before you get this diagnosis from the doctor, you're still struggling with your weight, significantly overweight.
Yeah, and he wanted to know how much I weighed.
I was curious about that. Yeah.
Yeah, I weighed 233 pounds.
Okay. Yeah, that's very. And
I'm 5'3".
Right. Okay. And how did I'm like,
when
I'm
I was
thinking,
married, I used to say if I got pregnant Well, I mean, that's a whole nother Oprah, but if I
Yeah.
got pregnant, I would look like Barney Rubble
Yeah.
because I'm
And
round and short,
right. And
but
you
I'm
think
not
about just
anymore.
just trying to function in day-to-day life, carrying around that extra weight, what that's like, how I picture like how the joints feel, how is your mobility and things like that.
Yeah, I was always that's the thing. I was always very active and athletic, and I walked all the time. And I mean, and hiked, which I still do, but I do it differently now. And that was
Yeah.
never a problem. Could walk fast, run fast. I don't know how, but I could. And
Yeah.
now, sometimes I feel like I could run a marathon, but I won't.
I say if I have to run 26 miles to get something to eat, something went seriously wrong in my life. So, what your biggest shift happened in your mid 60s.
Uh-huh.
What is it you feel like? What contributed to you waiting for so long to really be serious enough that you wanted to make this change and change that sticks?
So there's two of them. The first one is, and the main one, which is why the first shift before the weight loss came, why that shift happened, is because I realized that most of my life, even though I was taking care of me, I wasn't really taking fully care of me the way I should. And I see myself serving other people first and then me. And the other thing
Right. Yeah.
is that when I was younger, I wasn't the kid who chased the money all the time in life, because that was never the thing that was going to get me and make me happy. Because I've had money, I've not had money. It doesn't matter, because money, there's plenty of people you can look around in the world. They have plenty of money, but when they lay their head down at night on the pillow, are they really happy?
Mm-hmm.
And so for me, yeah, I am really happy. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? I am, and I can say I am 100%. Is everything perfect in my life? Of course not. But the other thing that happened in my life, to finish answering your question, that was the first thing. And the second thing is that before my mom passed away, I made her a promise that I was going to be thin someday. I promised her. We each had a thing, right? The last time I saw her. And I told her, Mommy, I promise you, I am going to get thin. I don't know what day, but I promise you I will. And when I
Mm-hmm.
did it, I have to say, after I did it and things start showing up and happening in my life, I don't care what anybody says. I know, she knows, and she has smiled down on me more than once.
Mm-hmm.
I know it for sure.
So and really, in a sense, that speaks to the power of commitment and accountability. You made a commitment to a human being that you had a very deep emotional connection to, and that you didn't want to let down. And that commitment gave you the strength, the willingness to go through the uncomfortable steps that are needed to make this change happen. And we hear something like, oh, well, Sheri lost 103 pounds. And there's maybe an assumption that this was just, you just started doing something, the weight kind of just fell off and melted off. What did that path look like for you actually losing that weight?
Well, the path was that I was determined, which, I am about everything that I'm passionate about. If we're going to do it, we got to do it 100%. And that's just how I live my life. But I did when I was fat or if I was thin. That's just my personality. If we're going to do it, let's do it right. And let's not hurt other people. You know what I mean? Like that. And so I just went on this journey and I made up. See, the biggest thing that we all need to do is we have to promise ourselves.
Mm-hmm.
Because if we don't look ourselves in the mirror and promise ourselves, I had to make a decision that regardless of what was going to happen around me, because I knew what was going to happen around me, I have to really be ready. And I'm just going to have to wear kryptonite, basically. Well, because there's going to be people that are going to say things that aren't nice. There's
Mm-hmm.
going to be people who are going to be your champion. And then
Yep.
there's going to be other people that don't really care. And they don't really want to deal with you because they don't know how to behave around you. And that's what happened, because people don't like change. We talked about it earlier. Fear and change. They're the two things that will kill all of us if we don't look at it.
Yeah. So for people who might be trying to take inspiration from your journey, to learn from it, and say, and when I say inspiration, I mean realizing that this is possible even in your older or more advanced years to accomplish change like this. did you have to go about it differently in one sense than you might have if you'd done it 30 years earlier?
Well, sure. It would have been completely different 30 years earlier because the information that we have about food and nutrition, but mainly inflammation, because inflammation, that was the root and the key to everything. Because when I look around, I see people, I know people right away now, just like me too, what used to be me, is they're walking around with that visceral fat in their tummy. And that's a ruination at any age, whether you're 10 or you're 64 or anywhere in between to have. And I had it. And I knew that if I didn't get rid of it, I was going to get diabetes or high blood pressure, which there I was, pre-diabetic, right? And if I didn't change now, you get to an age where if you don't start eating better to reverse diabetes and high blood pressure, if you don't do that, then you're on the road to ill health forever. And you're going to have to just, some people are like, well, I'm 68 years old and no, I want to live forever and piss off the whole world.
So if you were to offer some advice for somebody, just some words of wisdom to kind of tie things together, because I really appreciate you coming on today and sharing your story, and it's a very inspiring story.
Thank you.
What advice would you offer people who are maybe they're struggling in their journey right now, but they really want to accomplish this change? What would you say to them?
So I'll tell you what I would tell them. I would tell them what I tell, and by the way, I give everybody a free consultation, but I'm going to give you an exercise. I'm just going to share it with you because I really like you and your listeners.
Thank you.
And I want them to do this. This is what I make everybody do after we've talked 5-10 minutes about them. Is take out a piece of paper and write down everything you want for your life from this moment going forward. How does it look? What do you want? It doesn't matter if it's 5 things, 20 things, or 100. Write them all down, and I just sit and wait. And when they're done, I tell them, okay, I want you to take out a pen, and I want you to cross out every single thing on that list that is out of your control. And then look at the list that's left, and those are the things that you can do one thing at a time. And if it's 4 things or 50 things left, which one do you want to do first? And do that one and find the people that you want to help you get there, accomplish it, cross it off your list, and go on to the next one, because that's how we get through life. But you have to take a step. You have to
you
try.
do.
You have to try.
A previous guest of mine shared this. He said there's 5 frogs on a log. 4 frogs decide to jump in the lake. How many frogs are on the log?
Exactly.
There's 5.
There's 5.
Because they making a decision doesn't equate to actually taking action. It's just a decision that I am going to take action. And so I love that the piece of advice you've shared there, and I hope that those are listening, that you take her up on this advice. Write down a list of all of the things that you want to accomplish in your life this day forward. And once you've completed this list, cross off all the things that are outside of your control and turn your attention only to the things that you can control. Because I think we spend a lot of time being controlled by things outside of our control, and that leaves us feeling frustrated, helpless, and maybe even trapped in a victim mindset. And so this is a way that you can break free from that and regain a sense of control in your life, because now you're taking control of these things, these factors that you can actually influence, and in that way really genuinely create positive change. So I love that. Thank you so much for sharing that. If people want to connect with you, how do they reach you? How do they find you?
So the best thing to do is to send me an email at share the gift. It's SHER at gmail.com. So it's share the gift at Gmail.
I love that.
And then I have a Facebook group called Balance for Life. It's balance with the number 4 life. And the reason I do that, and I'm not like all over social media, is because for me, it has to be one-on-one and talking to people. It doesn't have to be all about what everybody else thinks. I only care about what you think. And do you need my help, and why? Because I've lived what you've done. I know where you've been, and I know where you can go. You just have to figure out if you want me to be the one to help you. And if you are, I'll hold your hand till the end, and we'll be fabulous.
I love that. I love that. Thank you so much. And we'll put all of that information in the show notes as well. And it's in the description of this video as well. So thank you again, Sheri, for making time for us. Thank you for sharing your gifts with us, and take care and have an awesome night.
Thanks, John. It was a pleasure.
Thank you so much for tuning in to Between the Before and After. If you've enjoyed this episode, please like, share, subscribe, or leave a review, because that helps this podcast to reach and inspire more people. I love exploring the stories that take place between the before and after, the powerful experiences that shape who we become, and I love human potential. I love the possibilities that lie within us. So whatever you may be up against, I hope these stories inspire you, because if you're still here, your story's not done yet, so keep moving forward.
Anyone can come from any place of brokenness and destitution and build an amazing life.